Influencer marketing. Now, is it still relevant today? Okay. Ben Francis started Gymsharks from his bedroom and started with Instagram influencers, which now has skyrocketed his business to over billions of pounds in net value. Likewise, Daniel Wellington, who came out with the Daniel Wellington watch, took his business to $200 million with nano influencers. Right? With nano influencers. Now we're going to explore in this video how you can also utilize influencer marketing, but what are the benefits and certainly what can be the pitfalls when it comes to doing influencer marketing the wrong way. To start with, I'm going to quickly show you the Instagram profile for a charity. Now, this charity raises money predominantly in the month of Ramadan for orphans, widows, needy, educational institutions, etc. And the 861 followers that they have has been done purely through the activities of others in Instagram. So by the activities of others, what I'm saying is these messages that you see predominantly from influencers sharing a story over a 24-hour period, promoting the website. They might use an image, they might use a video, and so on and so forth. And that's displayed to the followers. The followers click the link, they land on the website, and they donate. Now, if we were using a tracking tag by giving each individual person a unique link, then we'd probably be able to tell exactly who was responsible for what. But unfortunately, because of the nature of the sheer number of influence that we want to capture, so we were able to get 97 influencers that did it for free, and 5 of them were paid. And in order to reach that number of 97, we have to send out or reach out to hundreds and hundreds of influencers, right? So instead of giving them a tag, because 97 of them are free and we're only paying for 5, it really didn't matter as much to us as an organization that we're able to track back exactly who is responsible for the donations that is generated through which particular campaign. Right? That's part of it, and the other part is, of course, the time sensitivity of the period that we have is about getting it out there, getting them a link out there, and quickly giving them the URL instead of creating custom URLs all the time, and then sharing them out. Next year we probably will do that better, but that's how this stands, right? So how do you go about this process? Now, people like Ben Francis of Gymsharks or Daniel Wellington, they jumped onto social media influencer marketing at a period when it wasn't as saturated, or the algorithm favored many of the influencers because the platform was trying to grow. It's similar like what you have with TikTok, which of course you can apply this technique to some extent, whereby the algorithm is favoring each and every photo or video story or whatever with sufficient enough views to their particular followers. But as Instagram has grown and the number of followers have grown and the number of creators grow, therefore does the competition between creators within a particular space, i.e. fitness. Right? So therefore the influence that each individual had is not there as it used to be, unless of course the influencer is still somewhat influential. Think Kardashian, right? Who, when they promote a particular product on behalf of a brand, then because of the sheer size of the number of followers, one story, one post can have significant enough impact that gets enough sales or promotions or whatever it may be for that particular brand. And I say that because I've actually seen that with one of the Kardashians, whereby in one of our groups, an individual selling a particular type of water bottle, and that water bottle got into the hands of one of these Kardashians. She promoted it enough people clicked and landed on the website where they sold out the batch that they had, the unit number of batch that they had at that period. Now, they were saying that that is a phenomenal success. Yes, and it was for them, but that number of batch at the time was no more than a few hundred units. Okay? It's not as if it was being promoted for a multi-million brand which has, hundreds of thousands of units in back order or in stock ready to go out because they have a massive marketing plan and ready to dominate the world. This was a niche company in that respect. It's a startup, should I say, right? Although the industry may not have a niche, but the water bottle was for a small startup company. She got it in her hand. She promoted it to enough people, or it got in front of enough people relative to the company, that was able to have a significant and sizable impact on their business moving forward. Now, of course, if that's you, a startup or a relatively small company, then of course, this is the kind of influence that you do want to be able to draw if you can do. So there is a simple mathematics that does work in that. They call it Chinese mathematics, which is really, there's 1 billion people on Instagram. If 1% was to be able to come to my website and buy, then I'd be a millionaire. Right? Now, of course, it never works like that. But if you break that down into something granular, okay, someone like the Kardashian, she has, X million number of followers. What is her engagement rate? What is her CTR, click-through rate, and what can I possibly garner from that? Right? And now this is really important. I'm going to go into the next point when it comes to trying to find an influencer. Now, when you're looking for influencers, right, the way that you're approaching your model is all about ratios and percentage, right? Ratios and percentage. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that you need X amount of influencers to start with that you're going to reach out to, have a optimal messaging, whether it's through DM, email, whatever it may be, which has a hook, which is captivating, which will be an interest to them, right? And whether that interest is a great product or simply, how much you're going to pay me, or what product have you got? Are you going to give it me for free? Do you have an affiliate link? Whatever it may be that resonates with them, and enough of those people respond back to you saying, I'm interested, right? So let's say you reach out to 100 people, and within that 100 people, 10% of them turn around and come back to you and say, I'm interested. Now that 10% is 10 people. Now of those 10 people, you go back and forth, and 7 of them or 8 of them turn around and say, I'll take whatever you're offering and I'll promote it. Right? And then they decide to promote, and of that promotion, right, 3 of them are responsible for, let's say, a singular sale each. Right? So that's 3 sales you got out of that exercise. Now, I'm not talking about that, that's not lucrative enough. What I'm saying is it's all relative according to the ratio and the cost and the resources that it takes for you to achieve that. As an example, if you're a startup, gathering 100 influencers may only take you no more than 15-20 minutes, an hour, half an hour, depending on the tool that you use, right? DMing those people, likewise, similar amount of time. Coming back and forth with them, similar amount of time, and then they post and you get the sales, right? Now, you let's say it didn't cost you anything, but it took 3 hours of your time, right, to get 3 sales, right? But on the back end of those 3 sales, you were able to get the emails of the people that didn't buy, right? You got X number of followers that came onto your page and started following you, right? All of those things are valuable to you and are part of the process of compounding your business model. Now, of course, if you're an expert in this field of social media marketing, influencer marketing, you have somewhat of an idea, then the science and the maths behind that will be much more different, right? You have an understanding of how it works, and you're able to use tools more effectively, right? You have a budget behind you and you're able to reach and target those influencers that you know that I can get out to 100, I can get out to 1,000 of the right influencers, and from that I'm able to get a few hundred sales, a couple of hundred sales, right? Another 150, 200 followers because of their impact, even more, a few thousand followers because of their impact, right? And my email list has grown, and all of that cost me X amount of money. Let me give you an example of that. Okay, so this is My 10 Nights, and this is another charity that I worked with. Now, My 10 Nights has gone on to, by year 5, within the month of Ramadan alone, they're able to generate £15 million in donations, just in that month alone. So when we did the influencer program, right, we had a budget of, I think, £10,000. So don't quote me on that, but I think we had a budget of £10,000. Right? And on the back end of that, I think we were able to, no, it was much higher than that. My apologies. It was much higher than that because we got 10 influencers, right, on Instagram who had very, very big profiles. And we gave them all unique tags. So we were able to track the revenue that would be generated from their specific tag. And when we looked into analytics, right, we noticed that one influencer bought in about £6,000 or £7,000 because of their influence, and the rest of them bought £500, £600, £800 or whatever it may have been. That in the total donation revenue that we generated was about £11,000, right? So yeah, I think it was about 10,000 we spent. Now, why is that great and why is that really bad, right? It's great because right from the outset, we had the mindset and the strategy even that the objective of these influencers is not to generate donation per se, but help the brand get out there. Okay? But if you looked at it from the flip side, from the objective of not just donations, but the budget and other resources that have to be paid for, then this could be a colossal loss exercise. Because, sure, 11,000 recruit, okay, but that 10,000 is in donations, which means that money doesn't stay with us, it goes to charitable causes. So that's a loss for us. So we've spent 10,000 and we've not recruited anything that was beneficial to us in that respect. Okay, but let's say it wasn't like that, but let's say it was that this 11,000 was for product purchases, then we would minus the cost of our products, our expenses, so on and so forth, and we could see there was a 30% profit margin on that. So therefore there is, £3,500 kind of profit after all of that cost. Happy days in that respect. So that can work. But the other thing being is that one influencer was responsible for the £6,000 in donation. The others were all marginal, so therefore they only brought in right? £5,000. Now, if that influencer wasn't in the list of targeting, because prior to this exercise we did not know that what would be the impact of these influencers, then bringing in 5,000 from a business perspective of products sold from 11 influencers, well 10, assuming that one we didn't target, would, with a 30% profit margin, right, would arguably be that we only made 1,200 or whatever it may be. And if you're considering the cost of the influencers as well, I reckon that would have been a loss. It would have been a minus from that exercise as far as revenue is generated, right? If the pure objective of the business was to generate revenue, then that would have been the impact. And this is a very, very important point, right? Because most of the brands that I would speak to now, or most of the influencers, the social media strategists in this field that I speak to, they lead the conversation always with brand, right? Now, the reason they do that is that the Ben Francis of Gymshark and the Daniel Wellingtons and so on and so forth are just, in the grander scheme of things, they are the anomaly in how influencer market gets it right off the bat, right? The reality for most people, the reality for the rest of us, is that you have to approach this strategically and certainly with an understanding that this particular exercise may not necessarily generate the revenue that you're expecting on the front end. It may not necessarily generate you that right off the bat, or 1 plus 1 equals 2. So if I put $1 in, I should get $2 out. That may not happen. The ROAS, the return on advertiser spend, may not work out for you. Now, that's not to say that you do not factor in the maths, right? Yes, we've got this idea about branding and we've got this idea about revenue. How does our strategy, or both of those things, align within our strategies? So yes, we can see there'll be a brand benefit and we can see the long-term outcome of this, but we have an immediacy to be able to generate revenue, right, through this strategy. What will impact that? Now, taking these two things into consideration means that how you craft your messages, how you relay that messages to the content creator, the UGCs, right? And what they will say on the other side that will impact a sale, right? So that's really important, right? And so there will be a sense of sales aggression, that's what you want to call it, in the dialogue and the conversation that you have with these influencers, right? If you don't have that, and the pure objective is branding, then whoever is responsible for that activity may just be happy and satisfied with the response of the influencer saying, yep, sure, I'll post your story, no problem. I post at this time, at that time, wicked, it's going to cost you $50, $100, $1,000, yada, 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 I'm happy to go and I have X amount of followers. Whereas because you have this side of the strategy in regards to revenue also, then the conversation is different. You're asking the pertinent questions, the right questioning, whereby, okay, have you collaborated with other brands whereby you've had a significant impact or whatever kind of impact you've had on sales? And they'll say yes or no. What was those sales numbers? Did they tell you? Oh no, they didn't tell us. None of them? No. What about the impact on their email marketing? Anything there? No, not really. Now you may get a lot of these, you may get a few of these, but it sets your expectations in the right place, right? So even if that isn't happening, then part of your strategy is to say to the influencers, right, I need you to take this approach, right? And that approach is that we are a company trying to sell a product, so therefore it's not enough for you to just to shake our product into the camera and point to it and say, go buy this now. We need you to say something. Our product has 10 benefits. Pick 4 of those that you're going to relay back to your audience. All right. There may be urgency, may be part of that process, so therefore make sure you as an influencer are talking about the urgency. Right? There's got to be animation within your video. You've got to be animated because that is going to have an impact. So you are looking at it from a sales perspective and you're relaying that back to the influencer from a sales perspective. Right? So I hope that part was helpful. Now let's look at how you capture influencers, right? So now, of course, one of the most simplistic way is for you to do your search on Instagram. Now, of course, one of the ways that I can do it is just go to the Instagram search, type in gym clothes for men, find this guy here, right? Have a look at what's being said. Speaking of, we're launching in the new thingy, so he's, selling his own brand, his own product, whatever it may be, right? And then reach out to that person by DMing that person and say, hey, we've got our own product. Would you like to be able to would you like to promote our product? You could do the same thing on a Google search, and it's kind of like, put it in, Instagram gym clothing for men, and that probably as a sentence of what you're trying to do doesn't even really make sense, because it showed me all these people who are into gym clothing. So it's more like, okay, fitness hashtags perhaps, right? And then, okay, I think, oh right, okay, fitness hashtags is the way to go. And I find this guy, and I'm like, lift with fish. I can see he goes 11.6k, fitness, New York, yada yada yada. Okay, this seems like a good guy, and I can probably reach out to him, and he'd become one of my influencers. So, hashtag is one of the most simplistic ways that you can literally go and find a huge list of people that you want to be able to target. Now, of course, this is tedious because you're going to have to open the links like this and go here and then go here, and you have to read through all of those things. Munich, Germany, they don't fit in my profiling, so it's not good enough for me because they're not in, and this person is maybe not in the USA, which is my target audience, so that won't actually work for me. But this chap here, he is, and I can DM this guy and reach out to him, and maybe that's one way of me doing my influencer marketing, right? That's the quite simplest way that people have kind of done stuff. But there it looks as if he's promoted his own thing, fish shoe, but it depends what it is. It might be a supplement. Yep, it's a supplement, so that's fine. He may still promote your actual brand product. Now, let's assume you are going down this route, because I'm going to show you different ways that you're going to be able to do that, which is a software that you can use yourself as an example, and then of course outsourcing that to other people to be able to do that for relatively kind of like cheap. One of the things that really matters with influencers is the what is the number of fake followers that they have, and what is the engagement level that these people have, right? So I went into this tool, for example. It's just another one example for the sake of this video, which is called modash.io. Okay? And I put a influencer name in there, which was about Islamic quotes, and they have 2.5 million followers, 94.3k average likes, which is great, an engagement rate of 2.81, and that's good, and I'll explain to you why. But 22.54% of them are fake followers according to this tool, right? So a quarter of their followers are fake, right? And that's obviously really important. Now, the other thing that is quite important here, the popular posts, but these guys got 2.5k comments. If they're fake followers, you're not going to get that kind of comments, right? If we were to put our guy in there, we can see it says 9.5k followers. Is that right? No, okay, maybe it's a bit, software may be a bit dated. Engagement rate is 7.22. But has he hidden his comments? No. Okay. So now what's really important here is, although this has not been accurate, is this engagement rate, right? Now, why does that really matter? Now, from a perspective of a brand or a business, what you're thinking of is, if someone posts something on social media, especially Instagram in this case, right, who is going to see it, and what is the metric that measures that is being seen? right? So when you reach out to an influencer, one of your conversations with them is going to be about obviously where they are, right? Who their target audience location is, right? And the reach that they have and the engagement rate of that. Now, let's quickly break these down why these things will definitely matter to you. Now, in the back end of Instagram, everybody has access to analytics for their own profile, and that analytics over time matures and tracks and provides relevant metric of how your posts are performing. And within those, you're going to get some basic data that is important. Now, some of that basic data is around the number of reaches that you have from a post, so how many accounts you reach, right? So that's your audience reach. The location of the majority of those people, and that can be broken down in percentages. And then also the engagement rate of those posts, right? So why are those few metrics really important to you? Okay. For one, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to give you a product, I'm taking the effort to reach out to you. How far do your posts go? Okay. If you were to give me the last 10 posts, the last 15 posts, the last 20 posts, how far did your posts reach? How far did they go? Right? How many people am I looking at reaching? Right? Of those, what was the engagement rate like? Right? Did they interact? Did the people interact with your post? Did they like what you write? Did they like what you read? Because that talks about effectiveness and influence. Yeah. Sure, likes are probably the minimal, right, criteria, because people scroll through, they'll see a picture of a guy fitness picture, they like it and they move on, right? But if you have something to say, then they will comment, and that something to say means that they have a vested interest on you on some personal granular level that they feel compelled to want to comment. So you've got a likability factor about you, right? And that is the engagement rate. The likes, the commenting, the reposting, repurposing is the engagement rate. And that matters because if someone has too much of a high follower number, like hundreds of thousands, right, and the engagement rate is below 1%, that means either they're fake or they garnered a lot of followers at one time for whatever reason, but people are just not interested in what you have to say anymore. And that really matters. It's how relevant are you today, right? But you can't give someone a hard time, because relevancy is also takes into consideration the state of play of the marketplace. If there's a lot of people in the fitness niche and they're all competing against fitness attention, then it's all saturated and all spread out. So therefore, my account, no matter how amazing I am, cannot get that engagement unless I'm some kind of a celebrity. You know, I'm Ryan Reynolds and I've got that personality of Ryan Reynolds, right? And people love the guy, right? Even someone like Dwayne Johnson, because he'll have such a high influence, numbers wise, the engagement rate is relatively low on his posts compared to the millions of people he reaches, because a point reaches that people aren't interested in what The Rock has to say. Part of that could be because he's everywhere. He's discussing that topic, this topic, that topic, this topic, and therefore not everything is relevant to me. Right? Whereas sometimes you got someone in the fitness niche and all they talk about is fitness, and the engagement rate can be kind of really, really high. If you take this chap into consideration, 7.2% is very impressive as an engagement rate. It's very impressive. This is the type of person that you would actually want to reach out to and get hold of, because of his engagement rate is quite decent. So these are the things you want to take into consideration. Now, moving on to the other strategies, right? So for example, I use this tool, right? Unfortunately, at the moment, the Instagram influencer section is broken. I don't know why. Today I logged in and it seems to be broken. But what you can see from here, for Instagram influencers, I can select a profile, only profiles with emails or all. Engagement rate, I can put at 3%, which is a good number. Minimum followers, I might not care, but I might say they need to have, 500. I can pick United Kingdom, I can pick categories, and I could hit search with a keyword and it would produce the results. Right? If I was to flip that to websites, which seems to work, social networks, let's say they have Instagram, and I was to put in there fitness, but this is because it's searching for, what would you call it, websites and blogs. It's not necessarily looking for individuals, so these people may already be in business. But this is one of those tools that you can actually use to be able to find influencers within the niche. But as you can see, again, this just seems to be more so about businesses themselves. Fitness and workout clothes for women, health and fitness. So there are tools like this out there. Ninja Outreach is one of them. If you want to reach websites and even blogs, and you want to promote your stuff via that medium, then you can do, right? But there are plenty of tools like that out there that will do all of the heavy lifting for you. If I go back to influencers here, what I was able to do, let me do a refresh of that page, is that you can actually upload a list. So you can import a list where you can paste in 100 or so influencers that you've done the research for, and it will do the maths for you. So this is the list. If I go back to my list of leads, I have on here one that I just pasted in, and I got 35 leads on the list. 85 leads with emails was 35, and I click on that and I view the selected list, and what I get from this is, if they have email addresses, I can go to each one of the profiles and can see 332k, 10k like the engagement rate that I want. This is quite low, and it can give me those numbers because this part of the tool is very specific to sending out emails. I'm still getting these 1.9% engagement, 30k views. So this is interesting data that I can use, right? But these guys have the email here, so that means I can actually send out an email to this guy using this tool, because that's what the purpose of this tool is. But there are many other tools like that that can find profiles for you very, very quickly, relatively cheap, and give you the ratio that you need, or the stats that you need about their engagement, so you can make a quick decision about how you go about reaching out to those individuals. Now, reaching out is, of course, down to a manual and tedious work if you are doing it yourself. There's AI tools that can do that for you now, that you can find, which they will do all the DMing for you. That's possibly something that you can actually have a checkout on. The problem with those things are, you need to be wary, is if you're using a bot, it can get your own account banned. So if you're going to go through that route, you would create profiles to be able to do that on your behalf, and not necessarily use your business profile to be able to do that. Now, here is the kind of things that I give as a, so here you go. If you can look at this, this is like an instructional folder that I give to a VA, a virtual assistant. I could do it myself, but I can give it to a virtual assistant on how they do the manual work for me, right? So let's look at some of these sheets that I have on here. First instruction, yeah. The objective is to create a list of Muslim Islamic Instagram influencers that we can reach out to over a period of 10 days for collaboration. Your task is to find targeted and influential Instagram profiles with the following criteria: minimum number of followers, minimum number of engagement, hashtag related to our niche. Now, of course, this is, I'm reading out to you because this is the kind of thing that would be important to you. What is your focus is here. Since our product is in the Islamic Muslim niche, it is important to match the perspective and the audience to our niche. Okay. Look at available hashtags, see below. The contact message will be sent on day 1, day 3, day 7, day 10, right? So what is that? It's about, I've sent someone a contact message via DM, they don't respond. So I have to have a follow-up that is on day 3, I have to have a follow-up which is day 7, I have to follow up on day 10. Because we're thinking that they are busy, they've not seen it, it got lost with all of the DMs. So now I want to be able to keep reaching out to them until after the 4th day, or the 4th attempt. They don't respond, that's fine, we can move on. Right? Create a Google Sheet file titled Instagram Influencer Strategy. So this is a Google Sheet, an Excel sheet that you'll have with all of these columns. Okay? So you have your engagement or the activities that you've done under this campaign, this project, so you know things are getting fulfilled. So what is the name of the influencer, the number of followers, engagement rate, what's in their bio, website URL, email, tags, tag post volumes, location. So when they tagged, what does that volume of those tags in their post? Typically location, DMs sent to date, how many DMs have you spent? It's a yes or no really. Did they respond? Yes. DM2, DM3, right? Email, so on and so forth. Access the available hashtag using with the driver Instagram hashtag by volume or use Google search. Instagram profiles with a minimum of 5,000 followers, so that's what I'm asking them to look out for. Add them all to column A. Use the website Hyper Auditor to conduct research on each of the profiles. The most important factor is the engagement rate above 3%. Once you've found the influencer with over X amount of followers and engagement rate of 3%, populate the rest of the information of the Instagram influencer strategy. Example of a bio, her name is Brianna, number of followers 36.2k, engagement rate is 14.33%. Wow, there's a bit of about a bio, website URL, email address, tag is Cats of Instagram, volume. When you've included date but have not sent a DM or email, you will highlight in the cell in red, and when you have sent the DM or email, you highlight the cell in green. Once you've collected this information, you can proceed to DM or email the target Instagram influencers. Okay, so this is one example of a sheet that has been worked upon, and you can see the profile name, URL, link, number of followers, engagement rate, average like, response. I'm sorry, what does meditation do in Islam? These are the responses basically that they've said. Now you can see the rest of the stuff isn't on there. It's just one sheet that I'm showing you as an example that's been refined since. But can you transfer £60 and so on and so forth. Right. So you have that sheet, and in here you have things like the first, where is it? Is this, day 1 DM or email template. Hi, my name is Hafsa, social media manager for Sakina. I was searching through Instagram and came across your profile. I loved it. Congrats on the number of followers. You're basically getting personalized with them. We're interested in advertising on your Instagram profile. Are you able to let me know the different advertising option you offer? We're specifically interested in stories. I'm reaching out to you because I believe your brand. Yada yada yada. A little bit about ourselves, shout outs, reviews, and I guarantee you will love it, so on and so forth. Now, we've gone in this particular one with the advertising angle because we have budget set aside for this particular purpose, and we didn't want to hang around the edges, and be frivolous about what our expectations are from them. Going straight in there and saying, what are the advertising options you offer, that person will come back straight away and say, yeah, okay, if you pay X amount, then I'll do a story for you. That's what kind of we were looking at. You may not have that approach. You might think, I want to see what, are they open for a product? Are they open to do it for free? Because that's for something called Sakina, but Eternal Aid that I mentioned to you, the charity, we got 97 free people to promote it. So obviously we didn't go in, right? Again, this is second instruction of how to do mail merge. Since you want to send out personalized DMs, so on and so forth, how they can do it. I've got a video tutorial showing them how to do mail merging. Yeah. This is all the instructions about how they can do mail merging. Now, do I have other DMs? And there's a DM3. I appreciate that you may be busy and probably missed my first DM. So it's Hafsa again, social media. We offer an app so on and so forth. Are you available? So again, I'm acknowledging that they might be busy, and therefore, it's just a follow. I noticed that you opened the DM that I sent previously, but I never heard back from you. So here you'd go into the DM and you can see that it's been like, read or mentioned or whatever it may be. And the final one is day 10. Right, super busy, yada yada yada. Please get in touch. Essential tools: analytics, Ninja Outreach, and Hyper Auditor. So these are the tools: 100% AI powered Instagram user analytics, discovery, and so on and so forth. Right now, that's if you're doing it yourself, or if you get someone else to do it. These are the kind of instructions that you would give to them, and I will, post this into the description so you can kind of use it. Now, of course, my go-to place always is Upwork, where I will go in there and I will hire someone who does influential marketing. And I might hire someone in two folds. One is someone whose job is to do the tedious task on finding me all of these influencers with engagement rate. Right, recently I did one for Twitter. I paid $5 because he's new and he wanted the review from me, and he went and got me 1,000 profiles of those who have copywriting in their bio, 1,000 for crypto, 1,000 for personal development, 1,000 for advertising, and it was 5,000 in total. I can't remember what the fifth one was, right? And for $5 I got that list. Right? So imagine that you're able to pay $10 for someone to manually go away and do the work and get me a list of thousands and thousands of influencers according to my criteria, right? Number of followers, engagement rates, and so on and so forth. Giving them instructions about the tools that they can use for free is obviously even better, because these might be data entry people who don't know how to use these tools, but you give them video instructions showing them this is all you have to do, they will do it. So you got people in third world countries who don't have any work at the moment. $5 is $10 is significant for them, right? And therefore they have time on their hands to sit there and do these tasks, right, for you, right? But you have to give them instructions, because they can do the data entry for you, right? But the tools they may not have used. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who is a social media influencer marketeer, because these people charge higher rates, right? The first stage is I just want someone to collect data for me, right? So I'm going to get that done as cheaply as possible as I can do. And the second phase will be someone who has to do all the DMing for me. You send them out and record them day 3, day 4, day 7, right? So I always say that your campaigns are only as good as the instructions that you provide. The clearer the instructions are to people, the easier it is for you to have, or the better it will be, or the smoother transition you'll have from A to B. Right? So you can go up to Upwork and you can hire people there. And here's a conversation I had with the chap, and $5 paid, Twitter profiles, right? And in there he's given me, the 5,000, look, milestone, need a list of 5,000 Twitter profiles in a CSV. Happy days, you can't go wrong with that, right? The other thing is someone like marketing consultant with Ayman Khan, right? So she's going to charge a higher rate, of course, right? Just a consultation is $30 to 30 minutes. The whole task or the activity that she does could be a few $100s at the least. But she is experienced in the influencer marketing, right? So she's actually got a couple of these that she's put on her profile, how she's worked with Silk and Salt back in 2022. And in that she's saying, the overview is Silk and Salt is a premium brand. I took 300 influencers on board and generated sales and profits for the company before the deadline. What's the goal? Take 250 Instagram influencers on board for gifted and paid collaboration. Negotiate the best deals and keep the ratio of gifts and paid collaboration at minimum. Influencers. We have been sending mass emails to influencers found through a tool called Dovetail. Several responses from this, but mostly these asking for paid collaboration. Instagram has been most successful recruitment tool, right? So this Andrea Leifer, who's 88k, she posted reels and stories several times. 36k, 49k, and then here's the willing to continue collaborate, right? So the collaboration in this is that the way that this has worked is she has created affiliate links. The brand created affiliate links for her, and therefore she was be able to share those affiliate links because you can see code and link here. The order came in, the order value was 71.4 and she got 10% return, 10% return, 10% return. So that was a direct collaboration that they've done in the sense of an affiliate link. So they may have sent a product over to her to start with, they may not have, but she's jumped on board saying, you know what, I'll get paid for promotion. Right, so therefore here's a snapshot of some of the sales that she did, and she's banked herself perhaps, as far as this is concerned, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 $50, maybe much more, which just from posting stories she may not have made as much money, but from the brand's perspective obviously it's fantastic. Influencer research and list building. As we had a tight deadline, I started working on the project right away. I scouted and populated a spreadsheet with all the key information of the suitable influencers. This list contained 250 influencers by the end of the campaigns. And here's an example of a sheet that she's done. Right? Full name, employee, dovetail application link filled, IG, followers, gift card amount, gift card redeemed, first email sent, so on and so forth. So similar to what we have said, but she's been using this tool called Dovetail to be able to find and utilize that tool to also be able to engage with that audience, right? So I've shown you a version where do it yourself. This is a version where you can either use more expensive tools or an actual person who's in the field of influencer marketing to do these things for you. I'm no way affiliated with this person actually. I was, looking for her and finding her. Again, collab on TikTok discussing rates. Because that's another thing. You find people who are influencers on social media as an Instagram, and then you realize that they also have YouTube and they also have TikTok, which, DMing someone on TikTok is difficult unless they follow you. But if you find them outside, then here's a way that you can start talking with them. From WhatsApp list, waiting for Dovetail sign up, I mean, since that list was done, Dovetails has actually been bought by Shopify. And so you have this front end, which is for people like content creators to sign up. And then you have the section where here you can find influencers and brands can, well, they want to sell their product, but brands can join up and drive sales through influencer marketing. So that's one way. And let's go back to her sheet. And 4 packages sent, second round, sent but not received. So she's making notes, not received yet but shipped, sent but not received, so on and so forth. I look forward to work with you, and there's the promotion there of the product, and that's that. I think she may have had a different one in Saxa. Customized glasses on Amazon UK. Take 50 Instagram influencers on board. Gift for gifted and paid collaboration before Father's Day. So this was, again, another deadline. So she starts off with 250 influencers and keeps adding them in. The target is 50. Here's some stats and numbers. DM sent. Outreach negotiation. And there's the wine glass that gets promoted. Now, in conclusion, the way that these things quite simply work is there's a creator out there who's happy to do a collaboration for various reasons. And one could be they see your brand for the first time when you speak to them and they adore it and they love it and they're happy to say, you know what, I'll do a story for free, whatever, right? Generosity kicks in, right? But then you have the reality of people who think, influencer marketing is a way to make a bit of money. So, what are the options here? And you have this conversation with them and give them the options of, we'll give you an affiliate link and you can make 10% on that. Are you up for that? Totally. Well, or is it straightforward, cost £50, £100, £1,000, £10,000? If you're Kim Kardashian, maybe I have to give you 20 grand, whatever, right? Or there's kind of an exchange. You just get the goods. I'll just send you the product in the post and you'll do the promotion for me, right? You know, and it's just a conversation, and that conversation needs to be happened in mass, and that conversation just needs to be documented. Right? Whether you're doing it, whether a VA is doing it, or a social media marketing company is doing it, the documentation helps you as a business to understand that everybody's accountable and everything is being done according the way that it should be done. And therefore, if we do it right and do it accordingly, then we should be able to hit our targets and our reach and our goals. And here the reality is that they're looking at just 50 influencers. They're reaching out to 250 and they want to get 50 of those on board, right, and see how the collaboration goes from there. Right? Once you've done this experiment, then you'll have a better analysis and a better realization on how impactful this can be for your business, for your brand, for your products, and then decide whether this is a process that you want to scale or is redundant. Right? Once you've done it one time, and depending on how you do it one time, or you do several smaller campaigns because you refine as you go along, right? You can quickly, according to your budgets and your resources, be definitive about the impact that these things can have for you. I hope this video was useful. I'll see you on the next one.